Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about 23 books I want to read in 2023. Now, am I going to end up reading all 23 of these books? I don't know, because 23 books is a lot, but they are top priorities for me, and I would really like to get all these books in 2023 if possible. I thought about trying to hold these up for the thumbnail, but I don't think my arms would have been able to do it. A lot of the books that I'm going to talk about are books that I own, and that's part of the reason why they're on the list is because, you know, since I own them, I don't want them to sit on my shelves for too long, though I do have some library books on this list as well. With that being said, let's just dive right in. First, I thought we could discuss series that I want to continue in 2023. First off, one book I am definitely going to read is The Poisoner's Ring by Kelly Armstrong. This is the second book in the Rip Through Time series. I actually received this book as an ARC on NetGalley. Yes, I finally joined NetGalley. I've been on BookTube for 3+ years and I only just now joined NetGalley. I really put off joining for a long time because I didn't want to be overambitious and have too many arcs, and I just didn't know if I was going to have time in my schedule to fit in reading these advanced reader copies, but I finally joined and I've decided, you know, I'm just gonna not be like a kid in a candy store and request too many arcs. I'm also only going to request arcs for books that I genuinely think I'm going to like. And since I liked the first book in this series, gave it 4 stars, I requested the arc for the sequel and I was accepted. So thank you, St. Martin's Press. I am so excited to read and review this one. This is the second in a historical mystery series that follows a modern-day homicide detective who is transported back in time to a Victorian-era Edinburgh. She is in the body of a housemaid working for a medical examiner. And the whole series is really about her solving crimes in the past, but also at the same time trying to figure out how did she end up time traveling back into the past and what does she have to do to get back to the future and her own body. I would also like to continue the Mr. and Mrs. Darcy mystery series by Harry Bebris. I read the first book, Pride and Prescience, and now I am on the second, Suspense and Sensibility. The first book was, I believe, a 3-star for me. I liked it, didn't love it, but I have heard the books in the series get better as they go on. Also, later books in the series see Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy encountering the other couples from Jane Austen's other novels, so I think they'll be a lot of fun to read. I love a good historical murder mystery, and I love Pride and Prejudice, my all-time favorite book. I also think this author does a really terrific job at capturing the dynamic between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. They feel very true to their original characters in this series, in my opinion. I also think I really need to read the next 2 books I need to read in the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. I am currently on An Unexpected Peril. Yes, I had to look at my list to make sure I got the title right. And then after that, I need to read An Impossible Imposter. I love this series. This is a series of mysteries set in 1880s Victorian England, and I just love the 2 main characters, Veronica and Stoker. They are one of my favorite book ships. However, I have put off reading these next 2 books in the series. I'm almost caught up on the series. However, based on things I've seen people say about these books, I think the author is going to try to interfere with my ship. And I am not ready for that kind of heartbreak. Like, Deanna, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, girl. I mean, I'm still gonna read them, but I might cry or pitch a fit or something. I do really love these books, and I just love the 2 main characters together. They have such an amazing dynamic, and I just love their relationship and their banter. So I do really want to read these 2 books. I'm just nervous that I might be in for a lot of pain. So we'll see. Then I also want to continue reading the Sherlock Holmes series by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So the next two installments I have to read are the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, which is a short story collection, and then The Hound of the Baskervilles, which I think is probably the most famous Sherlock Holmes story. That one is a novella. I started reading the Sherlock Holmes series in 2022, and so far I am enjoying myself. I think these are really fun and easy reads. I definitely think if you were looking to get into classics for the first time, Sherlock Holmes would not be a bad place to start because I think they're pretty accessible, and also since Sherlock Holmes is such a cultural phenomenon, I think there is that kind of touchstone for someone who hasn't read classic literature before. And then, oh goodness, I'm gonna read The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon. This is the next book I have to read in the Outlander series. I do really like these books, but they are chunky and they take me a long time. Like one book will probably take me at least 2 months to finish. So that does make it a little hard for me to be like, okay, this month I'm gonna start reading an Outlander book. I always do enjoy them when I read them, but they do intimidate me a little bit, and that's why it's so hard for me to put one on a TBR. I do like these books and I really like the TV show as well. The basic premise of this series is that a World War II era nurse ends up traveling back in time to the 1700s in Scotland, where she falls in love with a Highlander. I really enjoy these books. I like the characters and I like the plots. And we also don't know when the next season of Outlander is going to come out. There is supposed to be a season in 2023, but I believe they're scheduled to be filming the season until May, which means it's going to be a long Droughtlander this year. I guess maybe I can read this book to pass the time until the show comes back, and maybe even read another one in the series if I'm feeling particularly ambitious. Like I said, these books do intimidate me, but I do really enjoy them. I almost forgot. I also want to read Thunderhead and The Toll by Neil Shusterman. In January 2022, I read Scythe, the first book in this series, for my work book club, and honestly, I really loved it. I did not go in with super high expectations because this is a young adult series and I don't really like young adult books as much anymore, but God, the first book was so good. This is the best young adult book I've read since I read The Hunger Games back in middle school. This series takes place in a futuristic world where mankind has successfully eradicated death from natural causes. However, they still need to keep the population of the world under control. That's why they have scythes. People can train to become a scythe, and what a scythe basically does is they are responsible for killing a certain portion of the population every year. The first book not only had an exciting plot, but I also think there was a complexity that you don't always get in young adult books, which I really appreciated. I want to finish out this trilogy, though, before I completely forget what happened in book one. So this year, I'm gonna try to read both Thunderhead and The Toll to finish off the trilogy. I also need to read The Two Towers, the second book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I put this on a TBR in 2022 and then I just didn't end up reading it. I think I was having a bad reading month that month, so it did not happen, but maybe in 2023 it can finally happen. I liked book one, The Fellowship of the Ring, fine. I'm not gonna lie and say that it's like one of my all-time favorite books, but since I have the entire trilogy, I am going to try to see it to the finish. And like, that makes it sound like I hated the book. I didn't. I just didn't love it as much as other people do. But we'll see how it goes. God, I have a lot of series I need to read. I need to force myself to continue all these series. I actually forgot this next book was on the list, and I am worried I might have regrets. But I think I should read this book in 2023. It scares me a little bit, but I think I ought to read it, and that's The Final Empire, the first Mistborn novel by Brandon Sanderson. I am so scared because Brandon Sanderson, he must have he must have received a gift from the gods, because he can write books like nobody's business. He is coming out with books left and right, and they are like 1,000 pages long. I don't know how he does it. He must have magic powers. So when I first joined BookTube and everybody was talking about Brandon Sanderson, how he's the best fantasy writer out there, I was like, I too want to read Brandon Sanderson. So I bought the first Mistborn novel. I've heard great things about this series, but like, just thinking about his body of work, it's so scary. Because, like, what if I read this book and I too love Brandy Sandy, and then I'm basically just signing myself up to read all of these books. And I believe a majority of his books take place in one interconnected universe. They all kind of go together. And it's just like a huge commitment that I'm both ready and not ready for at the same time. But, you know, I guess I just gotta give this first Mistborn novel a try, see if I like it, and, you know, go from there. Just do what my heart tells me to do. I have heard great things about this book. I put it on a previous TBR, I believe in 2022, and again, just didn't end up reading it that month, but I still want to fit this in at some point. The basic premise of this series is that it takes place in a fantasy universe where the Dark Lord won. So basically think about like a world where the Chosen One failed to vanquish evil and evil is now reigning over the world, which is a super interesting concept. Oh God, speaking of intimidating, I just saw the next book that I put on this list. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this in 2023. I'm gonna do it. It scares the crap out of me, but I'm gonna do it. I, ladies, gentlemen, am going to read The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandra Dumas. This book is like 1,000 friggin' pages. I want to read it so bad. But every time I think about how long it is, I'm scared. I'm so scared. This is a classic novel following this character named Edmond Dantes. Years ago, Edmond was framed for a crime he did not commit and sent to prison, but now he is back using the persona of the Count of Monte Cristo, and he is going to get his revenge against everyone who wronged him. Like, I love a good revenge story, I really do, and I've heard so many people talk about how amazing this book is. I've seen so many 5-star reviews, and I really do think that I am going to love this. Fun fact, one of my favorite TV shows when I was in high school was the ABC primetime soap opera Revenge, guilty pleasure, great show. And that show was basically pitched as it's the Count of Monte Cristo, but set in the modern day with a female main character. So like, yes, a revenge story, like elaborate plan to get back on all the people who did you wrong. Like, I love that. Like, I love that trope. And everybody talks about how this is one of the greatest novels ever. I think I'm gonna love it. I'm just scared because it's this big. You could kill somebody with this book. It's so big. So what I think I need to do is that in January or February 2023, I'm just gonna start this. I'm just gonna read it little by little. If I just read like 50 pages every day, if it takes me 2-3 months, that's fine. But I just need to bite the bullet and read this book. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna like it. It's just so intimidating. Because look at it. It's huge. It's huge, guys. On a less scary note, another classic that I want to read is Shakespeare's Sonnets. I love this little edition. I bought this at Shakespeare's house in Stratford-upon-Avon when I studied abroad, and I think this is the year that I finally read the Sonnets. I put this on a TBR also, and again, did not read it, so this is the year I'm going to rectify that. Like with the Count of Monte Cristo, I think I'm just gonna start this 1 month and read it little by little. You know, just a couple sonnets every day until I'm done, you know? Make it nice and easy and painless. Now, this is the beginning of a little segment I like to call Books My Dad Bought Me That I Need to Read in 2023. So, my dad got me these two books as gifts, and I really need to read them. He's constantly asking me, when are you going to read these books yet? So, this year, it's going to happen. First, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt? I don't know if I'm saying his name right. This is one of my dad's favorite books. It is a nonfiction, but it is also kind of like written like a novel. He takes like a little bit of creative license for storytelling purposes. This book is set in Savannah, Georgia, and it introduces a lot of the interesting residents of Savannah. A large part of the book deals with a murder trial where a man is accused of killing his same-sex lover. So, going to read this. Both my parents have read it and they talk about how great it is. I also saw that my library has this on audiobook, so maybe I'll read some of it physically and then also listen to some of it while I'm working or going for a walk or something like that. So 2023, I'm gonna read this book finally and make my dad happy, make my dad proud. And then the other book he bought me that I want to read is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. It's a very famous book, and it is a literary historical mystery that surrounds a murder in a monastery. Then I also included on the list these three historical nonfiction books that I own. I want to read all of these and get them off my physical TBR. So first we have Daughters of the Winter Queen, Four Remarkable Sisters, The Crown of Bohemia, and the Enduring Legacy of Mary, Queen of Scots. This is by Nancy Goldstone. I read two other books by this author and I really liked both of them, so I think I will like that one as well. Then I have Elizabeth and Leicester, Power, Passion, Politics by Sarah Gristwood. This is about Queen Elizabeth I and her friend, advisor, slash rumored lover, Robert Dudley, Earl of Leicester. I am very excited for that one as well. And finally, Charlotte Bronte, A Fiery Heart by Claire Harmon. This is, as the title suggests, a biography of Charlotte Bronte. And you know, in 2023, my dad and I are planning to go to England. Part of our trip will be in Yorkshire, where the Bronte sisters are from. So this would be a perfect book to read while I'm visiting the Bronte parsonage, don't you think? Then I have three mythology-related books that I really want to read in 2023. First, A Thousand Ships by Natalie Haynes. This is a feminist retelling of the Trojan War from the perspective of the women in this story. I put this on a 5-star predictions list and then just never read it. So I think it's about time that I read this and see if I'm going to like it. Natalie Haynes has several novels, I believe, so if I really love this one, then I can start reading her backlist. Now, this is a new book. I haven't even put it in a haul yet, but Medusa by Jessie Burton. This is another feminist retelling of myth dealing with, of course, Medusa. And this was a gift from Tori. Her channel is Good Strong Words. I will link it down below. Thank you so much, Tori, for giving this to me as a holiday gift. I am definitely going to read it in early 2023. This is also illustrated. It's really pretty. Like, come on, I didn't even realize that this was illustrated. So that was a pleasant surprise. Another illustrated mythology book I want to read is Mythology, Timeless Tales of Gods and Heroes by Edith Hamilton. This is the 75th anniversary illustrated edition. My God, it's just beautiful. This is like the most beautiful book I own. I mean, it's just, even like the borders and the font, like it's so nice. I love this. This is another really big book. So, like I said, with several other books on this list, I think I just need to start it one month and just read it little by little. I think this book would also really work well being read in small doses because it is just stories from Greek and I believe also Roman and Norse myths. So I'm just gonna dive in and tackle it one month. Oh God, like look at this. Isn't that beautiful? This book is just beautiful. Like I'm obsessed. I need to read it. And finally, just 2 more books left on the list, both of which are mysteries. So I am definitely going to be reading The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. This is a Jane Austen inspired murder mystery. It takes place many years after the events of Jane Austen's novels, and it basically has it so that all the characters from Jane Austen live in one interconnected universe. So Emma and Mr. Knightley are now throwing a party at their estate that all the other Jane Austen couples are invited to. Over the course of the night, Mr. Wickham will show up uninvited and then be murdered by someone at the party. And considering how awful Mr. Wickham was, there's no shortage of suspects. I've heard mixed reviews about this one, to be honest. I still think the concept sounds really intriguing. The second I saw the title, I knew this was a book that I had to read. I also was just talking to my mother about this book. She had never heard of it before, and once I explained to her what it was about, she said, I'm putting that on hold at the library ASAP. We're gonna read it together. So now me and my mom are gonna both end up reading this book pretty soon, so that's exciting. And last, but certainly not least, if possible, I would like 2023 to be the year that I finally read The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So this is a very hyped mystery series here on BookTube. It follows a group of senior citizens who I believe are living at the same assisted living facility or something like that. Every Thursday night, they gather together to talk about true crime, and when a murder mystery happens in their real life, they decide that together, they're gonna solve the case. Everybody and their mother has read this series. I've heard so many glowing reviews for these books, and I have not read a single one yet. The library waitlist has been very, very long, so I'm hoping in 2023 I will finally be able to get my hands on a copy. I want to get in on the hype, and I hope I will love these books as much as everybody else does. A cozy British mystery is one of my favorite things, so I hope I will love these books. All right, so assuming I counted right and I didn't forget anything from my list, those are 23 books that I want to read in 2023. Will I get to all of them? I don't know, but I'm gonna try. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. My social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Also, let me know in the comment section, what is one book that you really want to read in 2023? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a festive rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you in the next video.